To my Republican colleagues who introduced this resolution, I thank you. You honor me with your enmity. You flatter me with this falsehood. You, who are the authors of a big lie about the last election, must condemn the truth tellers, and I stand proudly before you.
He told us he had direct evidence of Russian collusion tucked in his pocket, like a golden ticket, only for the Durham and Mueller reports to reveal that his pocket was actually well empty. Whether he was reading parody scripts of phone calls or treating the Steele dossier like the Holy Bible of Intel, the man spent more time gaslighting the public than protecting them, but the bill is finally coming due. Rep. Anna Paulina Luna is on the floor, and she's not just bringing a resolution, she's bringing the reality check D.C. has been terrified of for years. So do me a favor, hit that subscribe button and let me know where you're watching from in the comments. We're watching the moment the untouchable Adam Schiff finally gets invited to the well to answer for the $32 million crater he left in the taxpayer's pocket.
Mr. Speaker, pursuant to Clause 2A1 of Rule 9, I seek recognition to give notice of my intent to raise a question of privileges of the House. The form of the resolution is as follows. H-Res 49, censuring and condemning Adam Schiff, representative of California's 30th Congressional District. Whereas the allegation that President Donald Trump colluded with Russia to steal the 2016 presidential election has been revealed as false by numerous in-depth investigations, including the recent report by Special Counsel John Durham, which documents how the conspiracy theory was invented, funded, and spread by President Trump's political rivals. Whereas Representative Adam Schiff, who served as a ranking minority member and then chairman of the Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence of the House of Representatives, HPSCI occupied positions of extreme trust, affording him access to sensitive information unavailable to most members of Congress. Whereas for years, Representative Schiff abused his trust by citing evidence of collusion that, as is clear from reports by Special Counsel Robert Mueller, Department of Justice Inspector General Michael Horowitz, and Special Counsel Durham, does not exist. Whereas by repeatedly telling these falsehoods, Representative Schiff purposely deceived his committee, Congress, and the American people. Whereas Representative Schiff lent credibility to the Steele dossier, a collection of debunked collusion accusations funded by President Trump's political rivals, by reading false Steele allegations into the congressional record at HPSCI hearing on March 20th, 2017. Whereas once again abusing his privileged access to classified information, Representative Schiff composed a false memo justifying the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act FISA warrant application on Trump associate Carter Page, which Inspector General Horowitz later found riddled with 17 major mistakes and omissions, provoking FISA court presiding judge Rosemary Collyer to state unequivocally that the Federal Bureau of Investigation misled the FISC. Whereas by publicly smearing Carter Page as a Russian collaborator and justifying spurious investigations of him, Representative Schiff contributed to the gross violations of a United States citizen's civil liberties, thereby committing the very abuses the HPSCI is tasked with identifying and thwarting. Whereas HPSCI ranking minority member and chairman Representative Schiff behaved dishonestly and dishonorably on many other occasions, including by falsely denying that his staff coordinated with a whistleblower to launch the first impeachment of President Trump. Whereas part of his impeachment efforts during an HPSCI hearing on September 26, 2019, Representative Schiff recited a false concocted rendition of a phone call between President Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. Whereas Representative Schiff exploited his position on HPSCI to encourage and excuse abusive intelligence investigations of Americans for political purposes. Whereas Representative Schiff used his position and access to sensitive information to instigate a fraudulently based investigation, which then he used to amass political gain and fundraising dollars. Whereas the American taxpayers paid $32 million to fund the investigation into collusion that was launched as a result of Representative Schiff's lies, misrepresentations, and abuses of sensitive information. And whereas it is determined by an investigation conducted by the Committee on Ethics that Representative Schiff lied, made representations, and abused sensitive information, he should be fined the amount of $16 million. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the House of Representatives censures and condemns Adam Schiff, representative of California's 30th Congressional District, for conduct that misleads the American people in a way that is not befitting of an elected member of the House of Representatives. Representative Adam Schiff will forthwith present himself to the well of the House of Representatives for the pronouncement of censure. Representative Schiff will then be censured with a public reading of this resolution by the Speaker, and the Committee on Ethics shall conduct an investigation into Representative Adam Schiff's lies, misrepresentations, and abuses of sensitive information.
Patriots, now that we've seen that short but heavy moment, let's talk about what we're actually witnessing, because this isn't happening in a vacuum. This isn't some paperwork scuffle on the House floor. This is the political equivalent of checking your bank statement after someone has been using your card for years and realizing the charges weren't just reckless, they were imaginary. Adam Schiff didn't just get caught being wrong. Washington is full of people who are wrong before lunch every Tuesday. Schiff built an entire political career and a massive fundraising machine on claims he presented as hard fact. He spent years assuring the nation he had direct evidence of collusion, like he was Indiana Jones guarding a sacred relic. And every time the real investigators opened the vault, all they found were dust, echoes, and a few MSNBC monologues. What makes this even more unbelievable is that Schiff kept pushing the narrative long after the Steele dossier collapsed, long after the FBI backed away, long after Mueller filed a report without a single page labeled "smoking gun." Schiff still marched forward like the captain of the Titanic, shouting "full speed ahead," not because the facts supported him, but because the narrative did. And the narrative paid well. People forget this part. Schiff didn't just sell the Russia storyline, he monetized it. Every leak, every headline, every hearing turned into another fundraising boost built on fear and fiction. Turns out the only real collusion happening was between Schiff's nonstop media appearances and his Act Blue donation link. And we can't skip the whistleblower saga. Schiff went on television and proudly declared his office had no contact with the whistleblower. Clean hands, pure neutrality, just doing his job. Then, as always, the plot twist. His staff had met with the whistleblower beforehand. Suddenly, the tune changed to, well, okay, but it wasn't a big deal. Translation: you caught me, please stop asking questions. Then came the Zelensky performance. I've seen late-night comedy sketches with more honesty. Schiff rewrote Trump's phone call like he was auditioning for a political parody show. Imagine chairing the Intelligence Committee and deciding that the best way to communicate with the American people is through interpretive fan fiction. And when challenged, relax, it was parody. No, that's what happens when your entire career depends on a narrative and the transcript ruins your script. So yes, when Representative Paulina Luna introduces this resolution, this isn't revenge or theater. This is Congress finally acknowledging what half the country has been shouting for years. Adam Schiff used the most sensitive tools of government, the trust of the intelligence community, and the fears of the American people, like props in a political stage play. And the bill? $32 million. Straight from the taxpayers. In any normal job, burning through that much money on a bad lead gets you escorted out with a cardboard box. And Democrats will circle the wagons, they always do. They'll call it partisan, retaliatory, dangerous, anything except what it actually is. Overdue accountability for a man who treated a position of immense power like a personal spotlight. They'll frame this as defending democracy, when the real danger was normalizing the weaponization of intelligence agencies for political fantasy. And that's why this censure mattered. Not because it punishes Schiff personally, he'll have a fundraising email ready by tomorrow, but because it redraws a line. Congress finally saying you cannot mislead the public, manipulate classified information, rewrite presidential calls, coordinate impeachment narratives, promote debunked dossiers, distort investigations, and profit off the entire spectacle and walk away like nothing happened. For years, Schiff acted as if the Intelligence Committee was his personal stage, the media his choir, and the American people his captive audience. Today's resolution doesn't erase the past or recover the money, but it sends a message loud enough for even D.C. to hear. If you misuse the truth long enough, eventually the truth comes knocking. And patriots, today it knocked loudly. This is liberty with free thinking, and trust me, accountability looks good on Washington.